Okay. Hey, y'all. Hey, it's Galonda V. And today we are going to be talking about yoga as a lifestyle. So, if you're new here, I'm Galonda V. I'm an emotional awareness coach, and I teach people how to identify and recognize their emotions so that they can have more joy and calm in their lives. All right. I wanted to talk about this because yoga is a foundational force in the way that I move through the world. And I'm not sure if I have been really clear about my relationship to yoga, but I want to share with you all my background in yoga as well as why yoga as a lifestyle is important to me. So, back in 2018, I had the opportunity to go to an event where I saw for the first time a black woman yoga instructor. Not only was it a black woman, but she owned her own studio. Yes. I was not only intrigued, but I was compelled to study with her. All right. And so I moved forward with going to yoga teacher training without even the initial intent of teaching yoga. I just knew it was something that I needed to do. And once I went through the process, and now I'm looking in hindsight, it's because I needed to learn yoga is a lifestyle, not as the common misconception that it's just complex stretching or it's just poses or it's just for people without melanin or it's just for small size people, right? Or it's just for able bodied people or anything like that. Any of those common misconceptions. It was because I needed to learn about yoga as a lifestyle. So you might say, hey, well, what is yoga? Yoga literally means union. And from what I was taught, it is the union of your mind, your body, and your spirit. Okay? So the practices and the direction given through this philosophy is to help you continuously move towards meshing these three areas of your life to be your highest and best self. Okay? It started in India. Some say 3,000 years ago, some say 5,000 years ago. Either way, it doesn't matter. At this point, it's been codified and in practice for longer than any of our lifetimes put together. Okay? Um, as I learned yoga, it is based on 8 limbs or 8 sections or 8 categories. The yoga that we often see on social media, which is people contorting their bodies oftentimes into very intricate and what appears to be uncomfortable and difficult positions, is called asanas. It stands for postures. It is only one of the 8 limbs of yoga and not even the first one. Okay? The 8 limbs serve as a framework for how to live. A couple of the other limbs that I'd like to highlight for you include pranayama, which has to do with breath control, which many of you all may already be familiar with, right? But pranayama is one of the limbs of yoga. Another one are the yamas. And the yamas is how you relate to other people, right? It's how you interact with people. Another limb are the niyamas, and that is about self focus. How are you relating and integrating and reflecting upon oneself, right? These are your personal observances that don't have anything to do with anybody else, right? I want to also note that yoga is not a religion. It is a philosophy. It is a fact that yoga philosophy and principles are incorporated into some religions. However, yoga itself is not a religion. In fact, you can have whatever faith-based practice that you have or no faith-based practice at all and still observe and take part in the practices of yoga. It is not mutually exclusive, and it is oftentimes, in most cases, complementary to your already in place faith-based practices. So, how is yoga a lifestyle? Well, there are several principles that we can observe on a daily basis, right? One of them that has been very impactful for me is mindfulness, paying attention on purpose in the moment. That is one of the practices and how you can practice yoga as a lifestyle, right? Kindness and care is another concept that's part of yogic practices. And you're probably saying, Galanda, you're not saying anything that's not in any other faith-based religions or other philosophies. This may very well be true, right? However, the way that it is codified and presented was extremely impactful for me. And so that's why I'm sharing with you, right? You can integrate yogic practices like mindful eating, meditation, right? And even physical exercise into your life as part of your lifestyle, right? However, I just want to be very clear that if you never step foot on a mat, you can still be adhering to yogic principles. Let me repeat that. If you never put a pinky, finger, or toe on a mat, you can still be practicing yoga. All right? Yoga has the potential to be extremely transformative in your life, in your way of living. So you say, okay, if I'm never getting on the mat, exactly how am I practicing yoga, right? You can use breath control, pranayama for stress relief. You can use meditation, right, for clarity. You can use the principles of self reflection and discipline in your decision making. These are all ways that you can practice yoga off the mat. In fact, the vast majority of yoga is off the mat. It is in your everyday walk and your interactions with other people and with yourself. Okay? If you want to start practicing yoga, I, of course, love mindfulness. It's my favorite concept that's part of yoga philosophy. And mindfulness is paying attention on purpose in the moment without judgment. Let that sink in. Without judgment. This is paying attention to what's going on around you and what is happening with a different perspective. Mindfulness, you can sort of think of, is like a reporter. A reporter doesn't interfere. They do their very best not to include their own biases. They just watch and observe and take note, right? And that's how mindfulness is, right? Another principle that I could offer to you that is yoga off the mat and is a lifestyle is Santosha. and that means contentment. It doesn't mean complacency, but what it does mean is being appreciative, grateful, and thankful for what you already have. In this current time and state of the world, there is a lot of pressure to do more, get more, and acquire more. And Santosha says, hey, you have things, you have people in your life and experiences. Be grateful, thankful for what you have, right? And not desiring anything else. Does this mean don't have goals? Not at all. It absolutely does not mean that, right? But what it does mean is be mindful, be in the present moment, and not be looking forward to something else. So, to wrap it all up, if you didn't know, I want you to take this one thing with you. Yoga as a lifestyle is supportive to your mental, emotional, and physical health. It does not have to be in conflict with any faith-based practices or beliefs that you already have. It can live in complementary fashion with that. And you could be practicing yoga philosophy without ever stepping on the mat. So until next time, this is Galanda B. Take care.